All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Championship weekend has just wrapped up, and Christian, I know we got a lot to get into. So,
Yep.
without any further ado, Christian, let's just get started with the AFC Championship.
Yeah, so let's start off with probably the first disaster so far. These two games were
For
disasters. Let's
you,
start
for
off
you,
with
my pick came
for
to
me.
fruition.
I'm talking about objectively, like forget the predictions, man. I was already cooked from the beginning. So let's get it off with playoff Lamar. Playoff Lamar, once again, he came back in this game. I mean, really, once again, the past game, it was not cooking. It was not cooking up for this Ravens defense. As soon as I saw from the beginning of the game where Lamar, he wasn't, getting his reads right. He wasn't completing his passes. Lots of drops. I'm not gonna lie, there were some drops, but I was kept telling myself, man, like Lamar, he's really gonna have to be very consistent with his pass game because the run game, sure, it may have looked okay, but it's not gonna carry on the Chiefs, or they already picked up the momentum from what they were doing. They stopped the run game. L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, those two cornerbacks, solid cornerbacks, those two cornerbacks from the Kansas City Chiefs that really stepped up for that defense. They were pretty much locking up Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham. Sure, Zay Flowers, Odell, they had some bright spots there that helped them, but Zay Flowers, that's another thing too, man. The taunting call and then the fumble in the end zone that cost them the game pretty much right then and there. Just a lot of mistakes for this Ravens team. I mean, sure, a lot of this blame can go on Lamar. I mean, his passing ability is starting to show once again, I was never that one guy, to keep calling him a running back here and there, but sure, he was getting the runs there when he really needed to, but passing wise, it really wasn't benefiting the Ravens team at all. And the passing game was they really needed to get to it. They kept running when they were down so
Turnovers kind of
much.
started to become a problem once again.
Yeah, the turnovers, I believe it was three
'Cause,
turnovers
he was
the
being
whole
like
game.
very, very uncharacteristically, kind
Yeah,
of loose with the ball. I mean, he was, those
and his
that
pocket
fumbles.
awareness too. Yeah,
Yeah,
and his pocket
and I
awareness
know
too.
that
Yeah,
kind of became something we talked about. That pocket
yeah.
awareness.
His pocket awareness is becoming very poor. I mean, sure, I know quarterback is a tough thing. You have to see everything. You not be able to see the guys around you. But I mean, when you're in the backfield, you got open space. You can pretty much move your head. I mean, you can at least see the defenders in at least your rear view. But he wasn't doing that, and he was getting too much pressure.
Well, I
He
mean,
was holding on
to
the
his
ball too
credit,
long.
there was
Yeah,
on that one fumble they did come from behind him. So I guess
yeah,
he was
yeah.
looking for his read, but at the
Yeah,
same time,
no,
you gotta be aware
those,
that
yeah,
these guys are
those
around
are
you.
the exceptions. If they're behind you, it's always a thing. But when they're to the side of you and you're just staring at them, I know towards the end of the game, it was right in front of Lamar. He was just staring at him, and he just took the sack, man. But I mean, really, I'm not just gonna blame this on Lamar. I mean, this defense too, man. For the Ravens, they weren't cooking, as I was saying. This is the second time because of bite me in the back. I said the Browns defense was going to be their
No, and if we're gonna
strong
put it
point,
on,
and it didn't help them
defense,
at
the
all.
main thing that was going on their defense was, all those penalties. And sure,
Yeah.
we see, maybe Travis Kelce was, kind of baiting him, and that's the thing. There's always gonna be that trash talk. The way he bait him. Kyle Van Noy got baited into one of those roughness calls. For those are a bunch of calls that they ended up getting those 15-yard penalties. They went at Mahomes, which we saw was it with CJ Stroud last week. They were saying they want to hit him. Was it Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith? They want to be rough, they want to be violent. That came back to bite them because it got to the point where it was just too much, all those roughness calls. And if we're gonna look, I mean, a lot, and this is something we were talking about a little before. The Ravens fans are really talking so much about like, oh Ravens versus refs. Oh, they're out to get us. The Chiefs are their favorites. You guys brought this on yourselves. There was all those penalties. There was all those. I mean, just like you said about Zay Flowers, the taunting and all this stuff, and pre-snap penalties as well was its own thing, which probably not as much as other times, but regardless, they brought this on themselves. There was one call, and I know on the interception, the unlikely that could have been called, and I forget which one. There was something before that I think it was unlikely as well that maybe should have been called. So they kind of maybe did get holes on a couple, but the Chiefs got holes on a couple as well. So it was like, this is a point that I made a little while ago. It was ironically one of the more fairly called games from the refs all season. So you can't really make an argument for that.
Yeah, and I mean, sure, the refs, they may have had a lot of missed calls regardless of that, but it really doesn't matter for the fact, the Ravens, they shot themselves in the foot this whole second half. The Chiefs, they pretty much outmatched them in everything. They knew Lamar was a runner, and that's exactly what they did. They had the linebackers, they had the spies on Lamar. They found the counter, that's exactly what they're doing, because Lamar, I know this one specific play, I think it was Odell or Bateman on the lineup on the outside left towards the fourth quarter. I knew that was his first read, and then he fell. Lamar looked to the other side, and he couldn't go anywhere. He was looking for the run. But there's a spy. He had an open field either. Lamar, he's always looking for the run. If his first read's not there, and we see what happens. Too much scrambling in the pocket.
And when he's going to be scrambling in the pocket, we know. I mean, we see in the first half against the Texans, DeMeco Ryans was sending the blitz like crazy. Yeah. And that was working the first half, and he kind of left away from the second half. The Chiefs did that the whole game. They didn't shy away from it. They Nance and Romo kept saying, they're blitzing like 50% of the time. Every other play they're blitzing, and that worked. And that kind of seems to be the narrative. I mean, like the formula to beat the Ravens. This is just going back to something else, but the Rams would do that a lot, and that's why
you guys got the best of that Ravens offense.
And that's the thing, that's why that's at the end of the day, that's why the Chiefs ended up getting the better of this Ravens team. They found a way to neutralize Lamar Jackson. They limited him with the blitz.
Yeah, and that was really the focal point of this game. It's Lamar Jackson. How are you going to contain Lamar Jackson? If you're not able to contain Lamar Jackson, him being a mobile threat, sure, we saw last week his passing sacks, they were mid. Let's be real here. It was the run game that really helped them, and his receivers get open most of there. But the pass attack last week too, it wasn't that great. It was the run game and the defense that really helped them. This game, not the same. This Chiefs team with the very improved defense and a still high-powered offense, it was not going to work there. Once the Chiefs found the game plan to contain Lamar Jackson, which is run the blitz most of the time, have the spies on him, the linebackers, and it's wraps. Lamar couldn't do anything. Started showing his true colors once again, the pass game ability. No run game. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, they were cooking to begin with. Let's get wrong here. But once again, halftime adjustments. This is the Chiefs team that they can make adjustments, and they did. The run game was getting stopped, receivers were getting locked up, and then just miscues all over again. It was just a really horrible game for this Ravens team all around. Lamar Jackson, once again, you're leaning towards your second MVP, and let alone for second time being a first seed, and no Super Bowl performance. So once again, I said it before, that was pretty much going to be his legacy game. I'm not going to say his legacy is cooked by any means, but it's starting to be in a slightly worse position, kind of named as the top QB here. But aside from that, the Chiefs, they're perfect. Defense was great. Offense cooked. Got
Which
the
we
best
can't
of
even
that
say perfect, because let's also look at the fact that they were held scoreless in the second half. Let's be honest. The way this game started, we kind of saw this game looked like it was going to be a shootout. First 3-4 drives, everyone they were going back and forth after the Ravens went to run out on that first drive, but everyone was going back and forth. We thought it was going to be a shootout, and then all of a sudden, defense really bolstered it up. Obviously, the Chiefs didn't get anything going. Ravens only ended up getting a field goal in that second half, so this only turned into a big testament how both defenses have been going. We know the Ravens defense is the top defense, but also the resurgence of the Chiefs defense, who
that Chiefs really played lights out second half as well, even if the offense didn't score at all.
Early in the season, mid-season, we talked about they're really struggling. Now obviously ever since second half, even since the playoffs started, they've really been a big focal point. And considering the Chiefs defense, they were missing Omeneke, which obviously a huge part of this defense, that a little before halftime he went down and had to go into the locker room, and the fact that that kind of didn't even mean anything. Obviously they only gave up 3 points in the second half, so the fact that didn't even mean anything, we'll hopefully in 2 weeks he'll be fine for the Super Bowl. But just a next man up mentality for the Chiefs that they obviously really helped keep the Ravens in check. But of course, obviously, just a great game overall for the Chiefs. I did get down, just like I said, hard to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. But moving into the NFC Championship, and obviously this one was the one that we had so much to say. And obviously, our little 3-man group chat, we were extremely active in that one.
It was.
Let's just get started. From the top, I know I'm going to be taking the lead on this one. And look, hey, the Lions set the tone early. They absolutely set the tone early. Obviously, Jameson Williams, that huge 42-yard touchdown run. Then, of course, holding the Niners that, you expect them, Jake Moody was going to hopefully get that field goal. He missed it. Everything seemed to be going right. And, of course, that running back tandem of Gibbs and Montgomery. Obviously, they both themselves got touchdowns, making it 21-7. Then you get the field goal going into halftime, 24-7. You're up 17 on the Niners. What were they, like 1-20 something when being down in the second half, something like that? But then, of course, little by little, the first drive back, Niners you hold the Niners to a field goal. You're thinking, okay, you're in a good spot, only holding to a field goal. But then Dan Campbell, that's once the Lions got the ball back in first time in the second half, that's when the problem started. You go for it instead of going up 3 scores. You go for it. I believe it was like at the 25, at the 30, something like that. You go for it in a position like that. Like, okay, maybe that's not gonna hurt too much. Niners score a touchdown right away. Then Jahmyr Gibbs fumble at like the 25-yard line.
Early in the third quarter as well too.
Yeah, Niners score another touchdown. Now this game is tied. Then okay, let's see if the Lions can do something. They give the ball back. Niners come back and score, get their field goal. They're up 3 now. And I believe it was around this time that, once again, Dan Campbell. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. It's a 1-score game. You can tie this game. He goes for it was it at the third? I mean, was it in field goal range? I believe it was like at the.
They were on the 30-yard line, so yeah, they're well within field goal range. It was
definitely well within field goal. You can tie this game.
40, yeah. It was an easy tie game, and Dan Campbell
in prime position to tie this game, and then you give the ball back to them, and I believe that's when they made it a 10-point game. And by that point, it was kind of I mean, we both kind of
it was pretty much over.
We knew by then it was basically over. Once the Niners had that game in hand, there's nothing you could really do. By that point, the Lions by the end, kind of maybe you can maybe sense a 1% chance to really make it back, but
he called
that timeout. He called that timeout. He runs it on 3rd and goal with 2 timeouts, and I mean, what can you do there?
That right there was just a horrible play call. It was just a horrible play call by Dan Campbell.
We were hating on that call. We were hating on it. Okay, he got a touchdown to JMO. We were maybe is there something? I mean, at the end of the day, that timeout and that 3rd and goal was kind of what stole that chance. I mean, sure, that onside kick, it didn't work. Maybe you would have had 15 seconds to work with. I mean, it really wasn't gonna do much. At the end of the day, the big thing was Dan Campbell mismanaged this game, and this was what I kept telling you. What's the difference between him and Brandon Staley? They both just go for 4th and goals. I guess maybe Dan Campbell's kind of been a little more successful at it. I guess that's the only thing that really separates them right now.
Yeah, this whole game was just a huge loss for the Lions. I mean, Dan Campbell, that's really sure. A lot of people they're gonna blame Goff, but you can't really blame Goff when Dan Campbell was pretty much selling with the play calls. I mean, sure, that one time where you made up with getting off 3 possessions with going for it, that's points, man. You can't be aggressive like that in the playoffs, let alone in the championship game. 3 scores is better than
the Super Bowl on the line, man.
Exactly, Super Bowl on the line. He was in a well position already in the second half to already be better. I just don't know what the play call ability was. And sure, there were a lot of drops. I know there's a big drop by JMO as well. That was a very crucial drop by him.
And then of course, former Ram Josh Reynolds with 2 huge drops. Huge.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you guys released them, but it was such an easy drop right there.
Same thing.
Yeah. It was Josh Reynolds. I mean, he was there. I mean, he's not a bad receiver. Don't get me wrong. He's been very serviceable for the Detroit Lions this season. But those are so crucial. The drops by J-Mo, and then the run game just wasn't there. The Niners, they made adjustments to contain Gibbs and Montgomery. That's what they were doing. All first half, it was Gibbs and Montgomery. That run game was getting to them at the first half. And you know what they did? Adjustments. There's no run game whatsoever. Momentum was getting shifted towards the Niners side. Jared Goff was under pressure. Starting to look like 19 Jared Goff once again. The pressure was getting to him, and he couldn't have gone anything. The miscues by Dan Campbell being too aggressive.
The story was in the second half.
Yeah, being too aggressive when you
get pressure on him in that second half.
Yeah, and that's it. It was the flip flop. It was the opposite. Purdy gets pressure on him. It was looking bad. First half, that defense was going absolutely great.
And let's also talk about Brock Purdy. I mean, sure, maybe there was a lot. I will concede. He played a phenomenal second half. But let's also talk about how lucky he got. I mean, let's look at I don't know what you can call that should have been intercepted by C.J. Gardner-Johnson. All the shit he was talking on Baker Mayfield last week, and okay, you have a play to make right there in front of your hands, and you let it fall right into Ayuk's hands. I kind of did forget to. I kind of left that up. That was another thing that really kickstarted this major comeback for the Niners.
Yeah, and I mean, this Niners team, they really got on their heels that second half. I mean, that big catch by Ayuk, that really shifted the momentum once again for that Niners. It was really there, and the Detroit Lions defense started to look like that defense from last year, and it was not a good sign. And they're in a well position to tie up the game and keep it a closer game, but the aggressiveness of Dan Campbell, it really came back to bite him in the ass once again, being up to 3 scores. And then really we got them is the timeout after on 4th and goal. Man, I mean, the run game was not there when they were driving on to get the touchdown. You run the ball on 3rd and goal. You know the run game isn't there. You know the Niners D line is very good, especially goal line. Now in the second half, when they were doing better, yeah, you were forced to burn that timeout, and that screwed you up because you guys ended up stopping McCaffrey on their last drive with 40 seconds left, or I believe
41.
Yeah, 41 seconds left. That timeout would have been so crucial. You guys would have had 40 seconds to, you guys would have seconds to drive into for that touchdown, which is plenty of enough time. But no, the gambling, the aggressiveness of Dan Campbell, the miscues.
I mean, at that point, do we really know if they were really gonna?
Yeah, a lot of maybes, what ifs. I mean, for a field goal, sure, it's possible, but it's a lot of what ifs. This situation,
look,
but
you're up 17 at half, and then it comes down to, oh, maybe you could have done this, maybe you could have done that. That's all.
That's kind of what
ends up happening.
Yeah, it's always what it is, what isn't that. But I mean, none of this would have happened if you just kept consistent with what you're doing and not making some bullshit ass shitty play calls. Because don't get me wrong, I don't want to put this whole blame on Jared Goff. I'm not gonna lie, he did miss some crucial throws to the second half, but none of it was on him.
He missed a couple throws, yes, but the main thing is gonna have to be, let's put this on Dan Campbell. His decision making was horrible.
This is not on Jared Goff. Do not get me wrong. Just some couple missed throws that second half were crucial, but not all of it was his fault. Play calling was just bad all around. Dan Campbell, this is gonna be one game to really bite him in the ass. It's going to be very concerning if people are blaming this on Goff, because that's the one where I'm really defending him on this part, because he did all he can. Receivers are dropping balls, big balls especially. Pause. But other than that, Dan Campbell, I mean, come on, man. To some point next season, you got to stop with these aggressive play calls, because sooner or later it's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
I mean, sooner or later they're going to start looking at him as Brandon Staley 2.0, which was exactly what I'm telling you. And look, I don't want to hear any more of this. You're like, oh, Dan Campbell, this innovator. Oh, we got to look for the next Dan Campbell. Let's just stop that. Because situations like this, oh, he's the mover. Oh, let's go bite some kneecaps. All this shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, situations like this is the situation why a lot of people were skeptical on him. And at the end of the day, this cost the Lions a chance to play for the Super Bowl. But, of course, we feel very opinionated on this. We are very much 49ers haters, as this has been known on this channel for a long time. But it is what it is. The 49ers and the Chiefs meet in a Super Bowl 54 rematch in Las Vegas in Super Bowl 58. Obviously, our preview for this game will be a little later. It'll be I don't know, maybe some point midweek, the week of the Super Bowl. Obviously, first reactions. Kind of sucks. I think we both know who we're leaning towards in this game, but we'll give y'all a nicer breakdown going into that one. And before we go, obviously half of this I feel good about it, but I mean, hey, our predictions, put them up there right here on the side. And I mean, hey, I got that. I'll even throw in the little picture I made for you. I know the one you probably remember what I'm talking about. The little everyone against the Chiefs. I stayed on their side. It ended up working out for me. So, I got that one for me. And I picked the Niners. I picked the Niners, and it worked for me. I didn't really want that to actually happen. I would have been just fine going 1-1 in this. But, 49ers are back in the Super Bowl. I can't believe we're about to see Mr. Irrelevant going up against Patrick Mahomes. But it is what it is. That is going to wrap us up for our Championship Sunday recap. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you guys back soon. Probably maybe for some type of NFL honors type video.